The Seattle Mariners might be back on track. They just swept the Cleveland Guardians in pretty resounding fashion, which may have been predicted by one of the two of us on the last podcast. Could have been any of us. We'll talk about that, as well as talking about the Rafael Devers trade, which was breaking on Sunday afternoon. Should the Mariners have been involved in this deal? Could the Mariners have been involved in this deal? And what does that mean for the Red Sox moving forward? Could the Mariners maybe go get some guys off this Red Sox roster? Because it sounds like, even though they have almost the same record as the Mariners, they're going to be sellers. If we have time, I'm going to give you my Operation Overreaction, and then we're going to talk about the Red Sox series coming up starting on Monday, the Rafael Devers-less Red Sox series. Thank you guys so much for watching episode 200. We made it to 200 of the Hit It Here podcast, part of the Bleav Network, available on all your favorite podcasting platforms. And this is the Floyd and Jeff episode of the podcast. It is Father's Day that we're recording this. Floyd and Jeff, the best dads we could ask for. So shout out to them. I also want to give a shout out to the stream that we're doing on Saturday. For the Lambert house, it's going to be between 1 and 4, so make sure you're there on the Mariner Mojo channel. There will be some cool giveaways and stuff like that. If you're able to donate, please do. After all that said and done, I am here with Joe. And Joe, how sweep it is, man.
How freaking sweep it is. Did you predict that?
Yeah, you don't remember that? I literally went back and watched it, and I said, you know what? Last year, all right, the Mariners swept the Rangers.
Yeah, that whole spiel.
And I said they were going to sweep the Guardians, and it's going to go the other direction. Instead of losing the 10-game lead, they're going to gain a 10-game lead.
I'm glad you made the call on differentiating which way the team would take, like the way they'd go afterwards. Because if it's a strict 1-1, I mean, we're looking at a 14-game deficit in the division by season's end. Unfortunately, if that's how the numbers work in my brain. A good series win. You said they might be back. I'm not willing to call it after 3 games. You know what I mean? Like, I know you're just clickbaiting at the front. Clickbaiter. Yeah. This guy is trying to deceive you.
Master clickbaiter.
Okay. I don't know why we needed to say that. It was a good, complete series win. You outscore the Guardians 17-5 in this one. The first game, the Mariners put together 16 hits, like top to bottom, just raking. 7-2 final score. Castillo gives up back-to-back solo home runs. And you're thinking, man, this could be the worst thing that could have ever happened. And then he kind of calms down. He locks back in, and the Mariners offense does what it does. Ties the game back up. Scores, 4 in the 7th? Or the 8th? 7th. Had to have been the 7th because they didn't play the 9th. 7th?
7th.
8th? 7th. And, yeah, just... It feels like I like the idea of game 1 setting the tone. Doesn't always happen, but this one feels like it's ringing true.
Luis Castillo did give the Mariners a quality start in this one, and like you mentioned, 16 hits in this game. J.P. Crawford had 3 of them. Julio with a couple of knocks. Jorge Polanco, Randy Arozarena, Rowdy Tellez, Dominic Canzone, and Ben Williamson. All those guys had multi-hit nights. Cole Young checked in with a hit and an RBI in this game as well. Just all around a great game. Also, shout out to Jack and shout out to Carlin. I met both of them at the game that night, so shout out to you guys. It was a much different fireworks night than the last one that I went to, where Andres Munoz blew the save against the Twins. This one was fun, and it was sing-along fireworks night. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
We were singing along, and the vibes felt good. The Mariners were back home, and that continued into game 2, kind of. It didn't for a while. They scored a couple of runs in the first inning, and then it was nothing until the 9th. The Mariners gave up 3 unanswered to lose the lead to the Guardians in this game, but they came back in the 9th, Joe, and were able to take down the Guardians in game 2.
I don't want to backtrack too far. How does it feel to be, on social media on your phone at a Mariners game? How did that feel? Like you got clocked on your phone in a Mariners post. Clear as day, kind of smack dab in the middle of the picture. And it's just your fluffy mug looking down.
Yeah.
Kyle looked like he was enjoying his beverage.
Kyle was pounding his beverage. Beck's just like, yeah. That's on me. I literally saw a picture today of like the vibes of last night, and I was like, "Oh, there's always that one idiot on their phone," and there was a guy on their phone, and I'm like, "Man, I was that idiot."
I was that idiot.
Everyone's dancing and vibing, and I'm just, and you know what? Maybe that is the curse of being a content creator. I immediately got to go to social media and be like, "Yep, gotta get a post in, gotta look at something." I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I almost think
You said, I
now
mean,
I
I
don't.
saw your reply to, I think, Logan Gilbert fan club, Lemon, saying you're
Yeah,
probably responding to me.
which is very possible. The
Yeah.
other time that I can think that could have happened was when Rowdy hit that ball off of Cade Smith.
Mm,
And I think I went looking to see where it hit him because I couldn't tell from where I was sitting. I knew it hit him somewhere in the upper body, but I
yeah.
couldn't tell if it got his head or not. So I think I was like kind of worried immediately, going like, "Oh my god, is this guy like, is he dead? Like, what happened?"
Is he
But
good?
yeah. So anyway, game 2, Joe.
Luckily he wasn't dead, but you know who was dead in the water out on the mound was Emmanuel Clase in the ninth,
Yeah.
apparently. Dominic Canzone gets a base knock. A wild pitch and a long at bat from Julio. Yeah, he struck out, but a long at bat nonetheless did end up, I think, mattering in that moment with that little wild pitch. Bo Naylor can't corral it. And then one of your favorite Mariners this season, Jorge Polanco, a homer from the right side in the previous game, the game-winning RBI, his 8th career walk-off in this second game to secure a series win. Vibes are at like from where we've been the last couple of series. I never would have anticipated this kind of performance from the team. Yes, it looked good for one inning at the beginning and one inning at the end. The bookends of game 2 are awesome. The meat and potatoes of that game suck.
Yep.
They suck. However, you come away with a win, a series win, brings you over 500 once again. You tarnish the codify stat of 112-0 or whatever the hell it was. It got brought up on the broadcast today, but leading after 8, Guardians were undefeated the last 2 seasons. No more, said the Seattle Mariners. That's our game, okay? We win this game. This is my house, Kimo-san.
If any team's gonna do it, it's gonna be the Mariners. Just like be the ones to ruin weird records or whatever. That's still Mariners. In this game, George Kirby did struggle with his command a little bit. He struck out 5, walked 3, gave up 2 earned. Gabe Spire gave up an earned run in this one as well. But other than that, Carlos Vargas was great. Casey Legumina was great, and Jackson Coar were great in this game. And that kind of sets you up for game 3 with Emerson Hancock on the mound, who was fantastic. He was great in game 3 on Father's Day on Sunday. 7 strong from Emerson Hancock. I Bleav he gave up just 2 hits, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the Mariners offense came out and did what they needed to do on the power of JP Crawford.
Yeah, someone who recently a father, he's known for using his giant power is what definitely that means in that scenario. A huge homer, huge grand slam. I mean, a moment that he'll never forget is like hitting a grand slam, the moniker of dad strength and all that jazz, like whatever. And it being his first Father's Day as a dad, like that's just a really awesome moment.
His daughter's name on the bat instead of his too.
Yep, I did see that. Very like an awesome, like just in general, couldn't have drawn up a better moment for JP in that situation. Miles Mastrobuoni, big hit there too. Like eventually, like he drove in, I think, the first run, and then a garbage time, as George called it on stream today, a garbage time RBI from Mitch Garver brings the 6th run in for the Mariners. Didn't matter. They could have had that one lone RBI from Miles Mastrobuoni in this one, and it would have been enough because the Guardians only tallied 4 hits. Didn't scratch off any runs. Emerson Hancock was phenomenal. He was efficient, limiting hard contact. Like, dude has, I think I say it every time we have to talk about one of his starts. He has impressed me well beyond what I expected out of him this year. And I'm probably fine with him rolling as the 5 instead of Bryce.
Me too.
Unless it, like, the wheels fall off for Hancock at some point. I'd rather Bryce just figure himself out and get healthy for next year. Like, yes, we're only 71 games or 70 games into the season. We're not even halfway there yet. But Bryce Miller, I don't think he's looked as competitive out on the mound as Emerson Hancock, which is not a sentence I would have ever thought I'd utter in 2025.
Yeah, it's a bit wild. I mean, Bryce Miller has not had a single game where he has looked as good as Hancock has pretty much all season, like minus his first start or two.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And I agree with you. I mean, I'll be the first to say I was not on the Emerson Hancock train at the beginning of this year. I was like, call up Logan Evans. You got to get Evans in there. And Hancock, for what it's worth, he is proved me wrong. Mm-hmm. He's been such a breath of fresh air for a team where obviously the pitching has been very in flux. The injuries, you've had a lot of guys just not performing, and you've had to make some moves here and there. And Emerson Hancock's honestly been a real stabilizing force. If I remember the stat correctly today, I think it was that he had in the month of the last 30 days or something like that, he has an ERA of 1.53 or something crazy like that. Whoa. He's been that good. And yeah, that's just that is what the Mariners need out of that fifth starter spot right now. Obviously, we're going to see Logan Gilbert coming back in this next series, so that'll be good to get as well. But yeah, very interesting to note that Emerson Hancock has been able to turn in such quality starts throughout the year so far when the Mariners needed it most.
Sorry, I'm looking for. I'm mentally preparing for the middle topic, but
got it.
I was looking for the last player named in the Devers trade, which, with the way Hancock's been pitching, maybe he could have been the Kyle Harrison-esque part of a Devers trade had the Mariners made this move. With the Red Sox coming to town, they sweep the Guardians. They're like, you know what? Heck the opponent coming into town. We're going to trade for their best player, or, probably their best player, but depends on what stat you evaluate. If it's WAR, it's probably not the best player because Garrett Crochet exists as a pitcher. Jared Durant, doesn't matter. It gets convoluted, but Devers is a star player and he got traded, and it feels like for not a lot at the end of the day. And it's awesome to relish in the moment of the Mariners sweeping the Guardians, a get right series. You need to continue to put this kind of stuff together. The Red Sox feel like they might be in shambles when they stroll into town on Monday for a 3-game set against Seattle. No off day. Yeah, they just swept the Yankees. Awesome. They just traded a franchise cornerstone player. Yes, on a pretty rough contract when you take a look at what it could look like in 5 years' time. He was signed until 2033, $25 million per year. A DH likely only because the defense just isn't grayed out super well. So yes, it would have been a contract that maybe doesn't eventually pay off, but what you get out of Devers as a player is you're looking at the bat. You're looking at the consistent 25 WRC plus is I feel like the floor. Mm-hmm. And now going to San Francisco, I mean, even had he been traded to Seattle, I mean, yeah, that floor probably lowers a little bit to maybe 115 or 120, right? Because Boston's a pretty hitter-friendly place. You posed the idea of, could the Mariners have been involved or should the Mariners have been involved? We all, if you've been paying attention online, the Red Sox didn't shop him around. This was, I think, a call that was first made by Buster Posey. It was Buster went out of his way and was hey, let's make a deal, as game shows would say. And with Matt Chapman out for 2 weeks' time, he should be able to return soon-ish, in a week or so. Probably a week or two, I would guess. Maybe he plays third for them in the interim and then eventually moves to DH because, similar to the Red Sox, Devers should not play third base. There's a handful of teams that he should play third base for. The Giants are the last team because they have Platinum Glove Award winner, the best defensive third baseman in baseball, more than likely, Matt Chapman, for until 2031. If he doesn't want to go play first base, that's fine. They have Bryce Eldridge on the cusp. The Mariners felt like a better fit for Devers given their positional need at third. Or at first, if he wanted to go there. He doesn't. But also DH, Polo Sure, he played second base today, but Polo long term as your DH, like Devers as your DH until 2033 would be pretty freaking sick. It's just what would have cost to get him. And Kyle Harrison, Jordan Hicks, James Tibbs, who was the Giants' number 4 prospect at the time, and then I don't even remember the last dude's name because I couldn't find it on Pipeline. Jose Bello.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Um, I don't remember seeing him on the Giants list because I didn't find it earlier because his name was not listed while I was streaming, and he is not in the Red Sox Pipeline list yet. Tibbs slots in as the 6, but like that can be adjusted. But the Red Sox didn't get Bryce Eldridge for a star player in a trade where that feels like should have been the asking price. Yes, the Red Sox don't pay Devers any money, which is probably why you don't get Eldridge in that situation. Like if you're the Mariners and you look at that trade and think about what you could use offensively for Devers, like from Devers, yes, the Mariners could have beat the Giants in that trade package easily. The problem was never about whether or not the Mariners could match or be a better trade candidate. It's simply the fact that John Stanton would never in his life pay a guy like Devers, let alone any player in the MLB, $250 million for the next 8 years. And that's what it boils down to.
That's exactly what it was. And with the Red Sox, I mean, like you mentioned, that relationship just spoiled. Like Devers, I mean, and rightfully so, you know, probably had a bit of a chip on his shoulder when he's come out and said, you know, hey, I was not made aware of the plans to go out and sign Alex Bregman. You know, third base has been my position since I came up. Blah, blah. I've been a 3-time, 4-time All-Star for this team. Like, I get it. He sucks defensively at third base. So it's like, yeah, sorry, buddy. If you want to keep playing third base, maybe get better defensively. Thoughts, comments, questions, concerns. But nonetheless, I can still understand kind of why he did have those feelings towards it. He refused to go play first base, was not happy being a DH. The Red Sox were just like, we're done with you. We're tired of your attitude. Like, this is not going to fly here. It's very much an interesting time because, like you mentioned, they just swept the Yankees. They're a half game out of a playoff spot, coming to play a team that's in a playoff spot currently in the Mariners. The Red Sox feel like a team that has a chance still this year. I would say not anymore. Not when you trade your best bat, not anymore. You know, the Red Sox will be sellers. I do want to say though, like, yes, the Mariners would have never taken on that full contract ever. I do think though, in terms of just what a package would look like for them to trade, if they were to trade a similar package, I think Ben Williamson probably goes in that deal.
Okay.
You know, you give them somebody. You mentioned Emerson Hancock already,
or even Logan Evans. Sense. Either way,
or even Logan Evans. Yeah, he'd be like the Kyle Harrison comp.
Yep.
In terms of their number 4 prospect, I don't know where Tibbs would have ranked for the Mariners in their farm system, but probably, you know, towards the latter end of the top 10. If I had to guess, I'm not sure.
Tibbs he's not a top 100. I can tell you that.
Really? Okay. So so he would have been at least what, 10th or 11th on the Mariners top 10. So
I mean, he was a first round pick last year.
Right. So it's still early. Like maybe like Michael Arroyo or something. That's even too high.
I would put him, if I had to guess,
like Ty Pete.
I think outside the top 10, looking in, like a Ty Pete could be a decent comp. They're both an A-ball, but he what's his name? Tibbs is 22, whereas Pete's 19. So it's a little bit different. I don't think there's a good comp in the Mariners system at that spot. Like he'd be ranked higher than Josh Caron, who's the same age or roughly the same age, also an A-ball, a 2024 draftee. But he's better than Caron. So he'd be probably like in the 15 range. Whereas like, do then the Red Sox value that trade in the same, like that player in the same light? If you're giving them Ben Williamson, I think Ben Williamson could fit that role of the Tibbs spot potentially, but I don't know if they would think about it the same way because he's not being developed. He is at the major league level. Yes, he's developing, but like it's not a prospect level thing where you're looking at it from that same lens. So I also think, I could be wrong, is Kyle Harrison more valuable than Emerson Hancock?
No.
I
Kyle
think
Harrison's been terrible this year.
I feel like they're probably relatively similar. Maybe Harrison like a little bit more upside, but roughly the same. I think Evans maybe is a bit more valuable than Harrison just on like service time alone. And again, also upside. I think Hancock probably has the lowest or the highest, the least variable of outcomes for Emerson Hancock. Kyle Harrison probably in the middle. Evans probably like the lowest floor, but the highest ceiling potentially, right? So like it just depends on how the trade grades out there. I don't think there's a good Hicks comp. Is it
Right.
Trent Thornton? Like, not
Yeah,
really.
that's a tough one because like
The
you
money,
said,
the money also doesn't shake out super well either. Because Hicks was on a contract. Sure, Thornton's on the last year of his deal. Like, I don't know how it really works from the Mariners' perspective. I get people would. I mean, don't get me wrong. In a vacuum, would I want the Mariners to have a player like Rafael Devers? Of course. The offensive upside there is undeniable. I think his bat can play wherever. I don't think he's going to go to San Francisco and fall off. Sure, it won't be as good, but if we're thinking about a guy that has good gap to gap power who can hit a ton of doubles, I mean, hit 42 doubles in 2022, has eclipsed 34 the last 4 years. He's already at 18 this year. Like, sure, it's called triples alley in San Francisco. We all know it's doubles alley for him.
that's true because he's slow.
Yeah, I mean, he hit 54 in 2019. Like, he could hit over 50 doubles the next 4 years in San Francisco, and I would not be surprised.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think that if I had to officially like make a trade package for him, it would probably be I'd probably go Hancock, Williamson, maybe like a I don't even know. Like you said, the hard part is
Hancock,
Jordan
Thornton.
Hicks.
I think Hancock, Thornton, Williamson is a good place to start, and then you probably go a low like someone like because they got an outfielder there, so like maybe like a Jared Sundstrom. Is that too high? Or like even like a Victor
I don't think so.
Labrada? Like he's playing
Here's the
well in
thing, I
Double
would
A.
do that. I would
Yeah,
absolutely do that. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. I don't think
it's
that's an
just
overpay. I do think that the Red Sox get that's a better trade package than what they got from the
mhm,
Giants, in my opinion.
yeah.
And am I undervaluing Tibbs? Maybe. Am I undervaluing Harrison a little bit? Maybe. But like I think Williamson and Hancock or Williamson and Evans is a fine comp for what the Harrison and Tibbs package gets the Red Sox long term.
Mhm.
But also,
And
when you
obviously,
look at the Red Sox, like they don't want a third baseman. I don't think they'd rather have a first baseman. I would imagine because
right.
Casas is such a big question mark. But they have Meyer playing third right now. They'll get Bregman back and then move Meyer somewhere in the infield, probably to shortstop. Who plays first base for them is like the main question. Like I could see Tyler Locklear holding maybe a bit more value than Ben Williamson in this trade package, just on the idea of the position that he plays alone. Yes, Williamson will likely be a more valuable big leaguer long term than Tyler Locklear based on position and also what he can provide defensively. If Locklear is a league average bat and isn't a void at first base and he can be healthy, that's a W for whatever team gets him. Specifically, a team like the Red Sox who don't have a lot of first base depth in their organization already, trying to figure out if Roman Anthony should play first base or Christian Campbell should move over to first base or if Marcelo Meyer should, like that rotating door of trying to figure out who should play first base. We're all too familiar with it. Dylan Moore, right?
Oh God.
Giving them to like having Tyler Locklear be that first baseman for them could have made a lot of sense. But again,
Mhm.
what doesn't make sense or the reason why it never would have happened is simply 250 million over the next 8 years out of John Stanton's pockets that he probably would have lost sleep over.
Oh, I guarantee it. Yeah, and there's no way you could have even like could maybe the Red Sox have paid some of that contract down and maybe you give him a better package, maybe. And that's probably what would have had to have happened if he was to be traded to the Mariners. But I agree with you what you said earlier. The fit for the Mariners makes more sense than it does with the Giants because at least you can still put him at third base. He's not good defensively, but under Perry Hill's tutelage, I mean, hey,
we could convince we could convince ourselves that Perry Hill could teach a garbage can to play third base.
and I think he could.
I think he could. Just knock it down, stay, keep it in front of you. Keep it in front of you.
So that leads us to the next question here, which is if the Red Sox are sellers, which this is as clear of an indication that they'll be sellers as anything else. Now, don't get me wrong. They still have a good young core, like you mentioned, Roman Anthony, Marcelo Meyer, etc. But if they're sellers, who else on that team makes sense for them to trade? I think the biggest one there is Trevor Story.
Yeah.
He's a guy that he's making $25 million a year for the next like 3 or 4 years. He's not a free agent until 2028. It just makes sense for them to trade him. You look through the rest of that roster, guys like Masataka Yoshida is someone who makes sense for them to trade. But at the same time, you're not going to really get anything for him. But it's the guys that are making money on that team. One guy stands out to me, other than Jarren Duran, of course, because we've talked about him plenty. One guy stands out to me in terms of position players, and that is one Abraham Toro.
Nope.
He is having a fantastic year.
That is a
Toro.
That is a clear regression target as soon as we acquire him back.
He's hitting 317, 340, 885 OPS. He has 5 homers, 12 RBI.
And how many at-bats?
He's playing first base and 101 ABs.
Oh.
So he's already better than Donovan Solano.
Yeah.
So.
Well, not hard to do.
Not hard to do.
I think that's fine. If the Mariners get 2 bats and that is one of them at the deadline, it better be the lesser of the 2 kind of a vibe. True. I would be curious to see what, like, if he continues this stretch, if they trade him like quickly, but also like in that same vein, who do they have play first base? Like if you trade for Abraham Toro, are you trading them Tyler Locklear? Are you trading them Rowdy Tellez?
Who cares?
Well, I guess that's fine. That's a fair point. I was looking. So you said position player. They've got some arms in the pen that are intriguing. Granted, one is one that we don't want because he's not a good person, but he is a 37-year-old who still throws 102 on an expiring contract named Aroldis Chapman, which, I wouldn't be. He's getting traded at the deadline. That's just what he does. He signs a 1-year deal, gets traded at the deadline. Like, that's just what happens. I would have been interested in Liam Hendricks, but he's on the injured list right now. I don't know if that's going to continue to be something to monitor for him. But guys like Hendricks and Chapman are 2 guys out of the pen that I could see getting shipped at the deadline or even before the deadline that could be targets. Hendricks is having not a great year, 6.59 ERA. But obviously it's his first year pitching since 2023. And then Chapman, I think, is having a pretty decent year. But in that same vein, Chapman's not a good person.
So there's that. Garrett Whitlock's another guy that I think would be pretty interesting for the Mariners to get into the lab. I mean, he has the stuff. I don't know. He's making $5.5 million this year, $7.5 million next year. Walker Buehler is signed to a $18.005 million. Weird. $0.5 million deal this year with a $3 million contract next year. Although I Bleav there's an opt-out in there somewhere or something. Lucas Giolito's making $19 million this year. He's not very good. But if you would have asked me 3 weeks ago, I'd say sure. Because that's where the Mariners were at.
Yeah, the pitching health and the success, yeah. I think starters I'm kind of out on, specifically these guys on the Red Sox, but if Gilbert comes back and does not maybe sustain his health, sure, maybe you could look to either Giolito or Buehler in that way. But I might just rather take a shot on another team's pitching staff just because you're just trading for damaged parts. It would feel like in that scenario, but it's definitely an interesting time. I do not envy the Red Sox fans having in the last decade. You've traded Mookie Betts, you've let Xander Bogaerts walk, and you've traded Devers after you thought you locked him up for good. Everyone, it was such a big deal that they signed Devers to this huge contract. It's like, whoa, they actually did it. They ponied up the money. And of course, I don't know if they envisioned him having kind of like a diva style moment. Granted, whether or not it's justified or not in the whole Bregman part of this, I don't think this team's done, if that makes sense. So I don't know if they're out of it because they'll get Bregman back. They have a good young core of offensive players. It's just the the ownership group and that whole aspect of like wanting to get out from underneath money, like, yeah, they got out from a ton of money in this Devers trade. If they get out from under Story, they can make runs at whatever free agent they want in the next 3 years if they really wanted to, which makes the Soto stuff from this last offseason even weirder.
Or the Vladdy trade talk.
Yeah,
they were gonna sign him this offseason and then he signed the extension.
Yeah, it just everything feels very out of sorts for Boston the last maybe like 12 months.
Mm-hmm. They feel like the Blue Jays with the Shohei Ohtani stuff
and the Roki stuff. Yeah,
the Roki stuff, and they're like, no, they're not signing in Toronto. It feels very similar. I mean, it was a great move, like you mentioned, by Buster Posey. Great move. Very well done for the Giants. I think it's a move that
I think they're overperforming. Yeah, they're overperforming this year. It feels like a little bit, just like on their record alone, and in a very competitive National League West where they're only a game back of the Dodgers. I don't know if their game is over yet, so they could be tied for first by the end of the night. They're playing. They're a solid all-around team with momentum for this season. Going out and getting a guy like Devers that can plug into the middle of your lineup right now and be a run producer for you, that's massive. From
Huge.
Gerald Posey.
That's right. That is his first name.
It is.
Gerald. That's right. Yeah, I don't know. There's really nobody on the Red Sox, I think, that really makes sense for the Mariners. The Red Sox, they're going to want to shed some money because, like you said, they have such a very good young core.
Or at least on paper they do. Yeah, there are a bunch of top prospects. Will they pan out? Yes or no? Like, it's not often that the number one prospect or a guy in the top 5 doesn't pan out. I'm looking at my
You guys can't see it, but he's looking at his Jared Kelenic jersey.
It's a Jared Kelenic jersey that is now a Victor Robles jersey. Also kind of fitting. Robles, sure, he's resurgent with the Mariners. The Nats didn't work out.
That is, you know what? That's a valid point. Yeah, just to put a bow on all this. No, there's nobody on the Red Sox that I think makes sense unless it's like a bullpen arm.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, whatever.
Any team's bullpen arms make sense.
Right. But the Red Sox are coming to town, Joe. Big series. Mariners coming off that sweep. Huge, massive, if you will. Massive series. And the Mariners, for what it's worth, have their best guys going in this series. Logan Gilbert is set to come back from the injured list in game 1. He'll be facing off against Lucas Giolito, who we just talked about. Logan, it'll be interesting to see, what kind of pitch count they have him on, kind of what you can expect out of him. He doesn't have to face Rafael Devers anymore. Yeah. That lineup, that's a huge gaping hole in that lineup now. I'll be very interested to see what Logan can do versus this Red Sox team.
The hard part with Logan is, unlike George, he got a spring training. He had already made starts. I don't know what the pitch count limit or innings or batters faced will look like. Obviously, like if he's getting hit around, he's not going to go 5. I could see him anywhere between like 80 to 90 pitches, and that kind of being where they stop him at. His last start out, like last rehab start against with the Rainiers, Lord have mercy on my soul, I cannot speak, went really well. Better than any of the rehab starts that George did. I think that he's got a longer leash based on that, and also the fact that he's pitched this year already. So like George is 75 or whatever. Like I think Logan can at least go to 90. Would be my guess. Yep. I could be wrong, but that just is a gut feeling for me. I made some predictions. Someone said predictions during the stream today. And I said Logan's going to throw a complete game shutout on 57 pitches. It's going to be an MLB The Show type game. He's going to throw a complete game shutout on 57 pitches. What are your thoughts on that?
Nope.
Impossible. Someone immediately said, like, do you know what the least amount of pitches in a complete game shutout? Like, bro, obviously I'm joking. Missing Devers is big. Sure, Toro's red hot. Can I be honest with you, bro? I'm losing it over here. I am so excited. And they better do this. TJ better interview Abraham Toro. TJ
no shot.
Better interview him. I swear to God, if he doesn't, oh my God.
There's no way.
He better. He
They
has
said
to.
that he is not allowed on the podcast.
Not on bullpen banter, baby. They better get him on a bullpen banter trivia, or I'm unsubscribing. Yeah,
You heard it here
I
first.
I
That's right.
threaten to unsubscribe. I'll dislike all their videos for the rest of the time. You mentioned the Red Sox being like they're a fine team right now. They've had their ups and downs. They had some lows. They got swept by the Brewers like 3 weeks ago. Fast forward 3 weeks, they just swept the Yankees. They're a pretty decent baseball team.
Sounds familiar, don't it?
Yeah, right? Like it's like looking in a mirror. The Red Sox, it's crazy how similar we are as teams. A team ERA of 3.96, both the Mariners and the Red Sox.
Wow.
The WRC plus, it's not exact, but I mean, the Mariners have a 111, Red Sox have a 105. Like it's like right there. And you mentioned the Mariners have their best going. Getting Gilbert back for this to start game 1 should be a huge tone center, I think, for this series overall. And then you get to pass the second game to a guy who does not throw anything less than 6 innings. Mr. 6-inning thrower himself, Brian Wu. Put that on the back of a jersey. Number 22. Is he wear 22 or 33 right now?
22.
He was 33. 22, and then just says throw 6 innings. That's the name, because that's all Brian Wu does. A 3.39 ERA on the year. Not his best start out his last time. Did give up a grand slam to Gino. Gave up a home run to Pavin Smith shortly thereafter. But through 6 innings, and that's what counts.
That's all that matters.
That's all that matters. Against Walker Buehler, who's 5-4 on the year with a 5.01 ERA, you have a pitching advantage in the first 2 games. I like the Mariners' chances to win this series on the first 2 games alone, in my opinion.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think that Wu hasn't been as good as he was to start the year, but he's still been more than serviceable. And I mean, you should have Andres Munoz more than ready to go. Matt Brash more than ready to go. Both guys have not pitched in a few days now. I mean, I think that there's a good chance that the Mariners can turn this over to a bullpen and have it be one of those games where it's like 6 from Wu, and then you hand the ball to Vargas in the 7th, Brash in the 8th, and Munoz in the 9th, and call it a day. I mean, that's kind of how this game feels.
Dan Wilson will throw Edward Bizardo in there at some point. He has some sort of addiction. Like, get that man away from Edward Bizardo. Like, he needs to quit him cold turkey because he cannot stop throwing him. He should have thrown him not in the final game. It should have been Zach Pop, because Zach Pop's getting DFA'd for Gilbert. There's no, like, I don't understand throwing Bizardo being a man short in the pen. Sure, it's just Bizardo for the first game, but like, that doesn't matter. I had a prediction for the second game. 11 billion for the Mariners, 1 to the Red Sox. What are your thoughts on that?
That's in the score?
Yes. Colton, I'm not kidding. I ripped that off in 3 seconds. Someone asked predictions for the Red Sox. He said Logan Gilbert, complete game shutout, 57 pitches. Second game, Mariners 11 billion. I said to 0. Prima called me out, said that was rude, so that we gave them 1. And then the final game, I said that it would just be like a normal 3-1 win for the Mariners. It's like the exact transgression of my thought process for this series. Another sweep. Yeah.
I missed a hell of a stream.
It was certainly something. And then when Devers got traded, brother, shout out Rafael.
Were you still live when that happened?
Shout out Rafael Diaz. He came in, probably Devers' burner, because his name's also Rafael. He said, "Why aren't you guys talking about Devers getting traded?" I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And everyone's like, "Oh my God, it's real." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And then we streamed for 20 more minutes.
And you're like, "Where's he going?" And then you're like, "Oh my God, he's going to my second favorite team."
Oh my God, it's them. He's a Giant now.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good guess for game 2. Yeah. 11 billion. Mm-hmm. I think that feels pretty good. Game 3, interesting one. Garrett Crochet on the mound for the Red Sox. The Mariners were able to beat him earlier this year, but Crochet's having a fantastic year. He has a 2.24 ERA with 117 strikeouts. You're going to be throwing the right-handed lineup out there. Garver's probably catching. Donovan Solano's in there. That's a rough one. You got to win the first 2 games of this series. Luis Castillo is on the mound for the Mariners. He's been fine. He was good in his last start. I don't know. I don't know what to expect out of this game simply because of how good Crochet's been. But it looks like, Joe, that you sleep thinking about Garrett Crochet because the Mariners take down the best pitchers in the league.
They do, but that means I have to watch Mitch Garver at bats. I know he had an RBI single in the series finale against the Guardians.
Garbage time.
Garbage time single. Yeah, he's taking him deep. He's taking Crochet into the pen, baby. Crochet's a phenomenal pitcher. The fact that we beat him earlier in the year by working up his pitch count, making him throw extra pitches, like Randy, another funny stat line, went 0 for 0 in the final game, walked 3 times, got hit by a pitch. Randy's got the best vision on the Mariners right now. He's going to have Crochet in shambles, spitting on pitches, fouling off bad pitches. It's going to be back-to-back 12-pitch at-bats for Randy in his first 2 ABs against Crochet. Wow. Guaranteed.
I'm in. Forcing him to throw 24 pitches?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm there. Yeah, Randy's been walking a lot, which has been really good to see. It's something that, he didn't really do a whole lot last year. And his plate discipline was something that we kind of scoffed at last year. He was chasing sliders outside, and he'll still do that from time to time. But Randy's been pretty good so far. I think, Julio's still been putting up good at-bats. We just need to see him pull the ball in the air. Once Julio starts pulling the ball in the air, he's going the right direction. Cal Raleigh, hasn't hit a home run in a while.
He's washed. We should DFA him.
Washed.
That's something we also said on stream.
Yeah. He's been hitting the ball to the warning track a lot, but just can't get it to go out for whatever reason. Like maybe add an extra ounce to that bomb bat or whatever the hell they're called, torpedo bat, not the bomb bat. That was
OG.
Us in high school.
That's OG
right there. Yeah, I don't know. I feel good about this series with the way the Mariners played versus the Guardians, a very comparable team even to the Red Sox. Yes.
Shohei Ohtani will start tomorrow night against the Padres. That is all.
Shohei back on the mound. Wow.
Just wanted
Interesting.
Just wanted to throw that out there. A little random.
That's sooner than I thought.
Yeah. That means we might have to face him at the end of the year. In September. If he's still pitching by then.
Fine.
Yeah.
Can we talk about how good JP Crawford is?
Dude, he's an all-star.
He should be an all-star. If he's not, he's snubbed.
I think he will be. I could see him being like a reserve, like brought in after the fact. If Wilson makes it above him, Bobby Witt will make it on name power alone. Like those two, I think, are probably the front runners to be one starter and then the first reserve off the bench. I know Jeremy Pena's having a good year. Zach Neto might be the lone Angels representative, unless Trout gets in through fan vote. But like, it's unfortunate that there's a lot of good talent at the shortstop position in the American League because JP Crawford is definitely an unsung, like he is having a fantastic year.
There was a stat that I saw the other day, I think it was yesterday's game, where it said JP has multi-hit games in like 9 of his last 14 games. I'm like,
slapping the ball.
God. Like he's getting close to hitting over 300 with an OBP over 400. Like, he's tapping into that power, hit the grand slam today with the dad strength, like just crazy numbers out of JP Crawford. This is the guy that we saw in 2023. This is the JP Crawford that we saw.
He's better.
Yeah, honestly. And I don't know, man. I don't know how long it's going to last, right? We've had guys, Polo was really good there for a while, slumped. Polo's been great again. He's been playing very well recently. Cal has been great pretty much all year. It's just I'll be interested to see if JP can keep it going as all the rest of the Mariners get healthy. But we'll just have to wait and see. Thank you guys so much for watching episode 200 of the Hit It Here podcast, and go Mariners.